Hey, Vegeta, I think we should totally go to that MetroCon. That sounds pretty awesome.
You toured from whose voice was that supposed to be?
That was Nappa.
You went from Nappa to Doc McCoy.
How did that happen? Goku, I'm a Saiyan, not a doctor.
That was ridiculous, man. Go to MetroCon.
Do it!
皆さん、カートゥーンコノスワーフィータのもう一つスペシャルエピソードにようこそ。今日のトピックはアニメです。さあ、ここは皆さんの司会者がウバナード527とアルトラソニック級にいます。
Shut up, you.
Okay, give me your best Nappa right now.
Well, I guess I'm in this booth here. Looks kind of like a sound booth. There's some guy right behind the glass there. I think he's is he cowering behind there? Hey there, guy. Yeah, you wanna talk about something? I wanna talk about things. Come on. Fine, I'll just have to sit here and talk. I guess we're gonna. Is this what a podcast is? I guess.
This is going south so bad.
Oh, now he speaks.
You want to do
right.
intros? Oh, you were waiting for me to bring you
I
in.
was kind of waiting.
Take it away, Uberner. Do your intros.
All right, everyone. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Cartoon Connoisseur Theater Podcast, the podcast where we talk about cartoons and how we love them and all kinds of different stuff like that. Yeah. So
Cartoony stuff.
Cartoony stuff. That's right. We came up with that.
We did during our block schedule conversation.
That's right. So before we get into the cartoon by the way, that was Nappa. By the way, I hope everyone enjoyed that.
Not the auto parts place.
Not the
Saiyan.
The Saiyan. That's right.
It still sounds like McCoy from Star Trek to me.
Anyways,
Damn it, Jim. Darn it, Jim. I'm a doctor.
Not a Saiyan.
I'm a Saiyan, not a doctor. I got it confused sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Seriously.
Okay.
Anyways, so before we begin, this is part 2 of our anime podcast. I really think we could actually talk more about anime, and I think probably we will in a future podcast. But for now, we're going to do this 2-parter. So first we talked about our personal favorite ones, and we're actually going to have our guest here today talk about them as well.
And you can intro us at any time.
Yes, because we have Dave here. And
at Podcast Pasco.
At Podcast Pasco.
All over Zowie Kapowie.
Yes, from the 52 Now. And we also have a very special guest, someone I was very, very excited to get onto the podcast, and that is Dakota from Geek Critique. Dakota, hello, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well, guys. How are you?
Oh, awesome.
Good. We love taking up your free time here on ZowieKapowie.com.
Well,
that's what we do.
Let me real quickly say that I had put a update on our site that we were doing an anime podcast, and Dakota sent me this wonderful paragraph about podcasts, and I actually read it on the first part. I'm sorry if I butchered it, by the way, because like the way you wrote it was awesome. I want. When we decided to do a second part to this, I really wanted him to be a part of it. So thank you so much for coming, Dakota.
Well, I can't forgive you for butchering my work, but I take all my writing very, very seriously. It's on post, so.
That was the greatest line ever.
Oh, sorry.
That was so fantastic.
Again, I had another giant sweat drop just go on my face there.
Oh, wow. Josh, every time we do this, you are the victim of your own vices on this.
That's fine. That's fine. It's good.
Every single time.
It's great to be here. I'm happy that you included my comments in some form.
That's right.
On your previous podcast. So, yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Awesome.
Cool.
So, let's get right into it. First, we're going to talk a little bit about MetroCon, which is coming up soon. This is one of the reasons we did this whole podcast.
Yeah, we wanted to do
podcast thing.
A little bit more. MetroCon's coming up here in Tampa, Florida. It starts on Thursday, June 11th. It runs through Sunday, June 14th. A lot of cool stuff going on. A lot of voice actors. Nolan North's going to be there.
Nolan North is going to be there.
That's my name above names.
Scott McNeil, who does Piccolo's voice.
Yeah. A lot of panels, a lot of really cool artists, tons of cosplay. If you're interested in cosplay, if you're hearing this and you're in Central Florida, go out to Tampa. It's going to be amazing. Everyone keeps telling me how much fun it is. This is my first year. They were nice enough to invite Zowie Kapowie as a media guest. So myself at Podcast Pasco will be out interviewing cosplayers and artists and hopefully a couple panelists. And I can get Nolan North to maybe do a voice for 52 Now.
Maybe do Superboy. What do you think?
No,
Superboy?
come on.
Superboy?
Come on, man.
Come
on,
from
man.
Young Justice, man.
Anyways, they were nice enough. Nathan Drake, you got
That's
it.
right. Well, he does Nathan Drake too, but like Superboy, man, from Young Justice.
Deadpool. He's the only. He's my Deadpool.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna be going out there. If you're listening on ZowieKapowie.com, depending on when you're listening to this, go check out ZowieKapowie.com. Check out ArcadeArchives.com. We have a ton of shows, podcasts, interviews, photos, anything you can think of related to MetroCon 2015 and Tampa on June 11th. Go check it out.
Awesome.
Cool.
So, with that said, it's time to go right into our segment today. So, since I already talked about my favorite animes and had my friends talk about theirs, and since we have two very special guests, yeah.
Who are they again? No.
Every episode apparently is a special episode of Cartoon Connoisseur Theater.
That's how I feel.
Exciting.
Yeah.
So, Dave, Dakota, first of all, I want to know what your favorite anime is. And, maybe tell us how you got into anime, what you like about anime, different stuff like that. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first because you probably have a lot more to say, sir. And your dictation of your enthusiasm of the medium is probably far superior than mine. They're all my big words for this podcast. So, moving on, I did watch anime as a kid. I remember watching a lot of Dragon Ball Z, which I think was the gateway into it for a lot of us. I did have a girl in middle school I crushed on for a while who was into Sailor Moon, and I pretended to be into it, even though I never understood it. But beyond that, as I got older, I got more into the movies. Ghost in the Shell, big fan of Ghost in the Shell. Big fan of...
Did you see the series?
I did see the series.
Okay.
Standalone Complex. I did.
Yeah.
I know a little bit. I want to say the last couple series I've watched complete that I've really enjoyed is Gungrave, Trigun.
Oh, yeah, my favorite.
Yeah, Trigun's amazing. Cowboy Bebop, which I think...
I have not seen that.
You should see it. There's a movie that pretty much... You'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get it. I want to say the last full series I watched, though. I watched Queen's Blade, but it was terrible. I don't even believe I brought that up on a podcast. Is High School of the Dead?
Okay.
Have everyone seen that? You've never seen it?
I've
It's
never
one
seen it, I've
season.
heard of it.
Have you, Dakota? You're a fan?
I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm out of this conversation. Over the last couple of years, I haven't watched that much. I do appreciate the medium and my friends who talk about it.
Yeah.
Cool. Dakota?
Right, Dakota.
Yeah, I too grew up on whatever was playing on Toonami or whatever. Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z. Pokemon was WB, I think. But, I grew up on that. And that was my gateway, Dragon Ball Z particularly. I remember I used to draw the Goku particularly. I loved Goku. So
his design is very iconic. It's very Superman. The way he looks. He doesn't look exactly like Superman. I'm just meaning the way he's designed is just as iconic as Superman.
I was going to say, he's designed as an alien from a former planet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What you got?
more recently, you know what? Over the years, I've always liked what I've seen from the genre, particularly stuff like Death Note and some of Naruto's earlier stuff. And
you didn't like Shippuden?
I haven't seen it. I haven't gotten around to.
Right, you need to. It gets
of episodes, so I can't.
Yes, there is, but you need to see it. Shippuden takes what they did in Naruto and then just amps it up.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. let's see. But more recently, I went to Costa Rica for 2 months, a little over a year ago. And I'm probably close to a year and a half ago now. And I bought myself a Crunchyroll subscription, which I don't know if you know or if you've talked about it previously, is a streaming service for English translated anime or English subtitled anime. And they've been doing, must have been 20 or 30 shows each season, which is really amazing considering. So since then, I've been a huge fan of most of the new stuff that's come out, particularly Attack on Titan or Sword Art Online. More recently, I am in love with Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? I think that's such a great show.
Can you tell us the premise? Because I've heard of this. It was on IGN's top new animes to watch. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it takes place in I want to say it's like a pseudo RPG type world. It's not actually an RPG, but it takes the way the story progresses feels like an RPG. It's this character named Belle who starts off as a level 1 character, and he has to dungeon to fight monsters, to increase his wealth, and to get stronger so that he can finally be on that level of the girl that he is infatuated with, the girl that he's in love with. And along the way, he's being helped by a goddess. Each character in this world is helped by a goddess to help them grow. And it's just a lot of fun. I can't give enough praise for it. Last week's episode had me crying. So,
who's your favorite character from the show?
That's
pretty hard, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I love Goddess Hestia. I mean, I know that's probably the anime girl of the season. Everyone makes fun of her because she's considered the lolly boob goddess, which lolly means that she's small or childish, but she's very big breasted, and she's the goddess.
Typical anime, yeah.
It's very typical. I mean, that's not why I like it. I think she's a very good character, and she adds a lot of levity to the show. So that's really nice.
Interesting. All right, cool. Does this take place in a game just very similar to Sword Art Online, or?
You would think so, and that's what I was trying to figure out at first, but it doesn't.
Okay.
It's kind of like if Sword Art Online wasn't a video game, if that was real.
So similar to Dragon Ball Z, how they can have power levels and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe a mix of the two. I wouldn't.
Okay.
I would say it's much closer to Sword Art Online than Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
But it's kind of a meta thing where it feels like they're in a game, but it's actually real life.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. Cool. And yeah, I didn't actually know about Crunchyroll until your paragraph that you sent me. So I actually went and found some information about it, and I thought
you
that
didn't
was
know about Crunchyroll?
I didn't know about it.
I knew about Crunchyroll.
No, I didn't know.
You should ask me.
I'm sorry, but
no, Crunchyroll. I can't talk about Crunchyroll enough because I think as of right now they're the leading producer for simulcasts from Japan being translated into English. So you're getting shows week after week as they air in Japan translated into English.
Now, is this sub and dub, or is this just sub?
This is just sub, so it's the original audio.
Okay, so no cuts, no nothing like that, directly from Japan and subtitled. Okay.
Unless they need to censor some stuff or put the magical fog mist that covers special parts.
Yeah. Okay.
They will do that, but other than that, they don't dub anything. As far as I know, they sub everything from their studios. They have a team where they literally go week after week. This is their job to translate into English, and they do it amazingly.
Ah, very cool.
Very cool.
I know that like Netflix is very popular for anime. They have a lot of animes there. I know that's where I saw.
They rotate them through, but no.
They got Pokemon, and that was a huge deal because.
You and your Pokemon. Have we had a show yet that you haven't brought up Pokemon?
I'm sorry. I'm a Pokemon fan. I'm going to bring up Pokemon.
Pokecast. Poke music and Pokemon.
There are many Pokemon casts.
Well, we could do it to Poke music.
That's right. We could. Did you know that Weird Al
talk about things that have polka dots.
Did you know that Weird Al did a Pokemon song called Polkamon?
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Good for him.
It's hilarious.
Does that have anything to do with this podcast?
Yeah, probably not. That's okay. It's a side. We always do asides here.
We do.
We do. Okay. What about favorite classic anime? Dakota, you have a favorite classic one?
Well, define. Let me.
Classic.
Timeout. Flag on the field.
All right.
That was a football reference. Maybe you didn't catch that.
What was that? What's football?
Exactly. Football?
Football.
Football.
Is that
What do you define as a classic anime?
I mean,
like a movie, show? Like what?
it could be a movie. It could be a show.
How old does it have to be to be classic? Is Cowboy Bebop a classic?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay. Is Trigun a classic?
Yes.
Sailor Moon's a classic.
Yes.
Now,
I would say
Speed Racer classic or vintage?
I would say more vintage than classic. Although,
Okay.
I remember that was probably one of the very few animes my father enjoyed.
Well, because the era when it came out, 1970s, 60s,
something like that. Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
Anime didn't really exist. It was just like, this is a cartoon.
Well, not in America, but
America.
Not America.
With our shotguns and our Walmarts. Because that was very popular. Astro Boy was very popular.
Right. Because Astro Boy was made in the late 50s. In fact, it was in black and white and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Anime actually, believe it or not, I actually looked this up before today. Anime actually goes all the way back to like World War II.
Now, it's interesting you bring that up.
Yeah.
So let me drop a little history on.
Oh, here we go.
It's funny that you mentioned that. I forget the name of the documentary. Actually, it wasn't a documentary. I went to the... wow, we're gonna get serious right here. I lived in D.C. for a while. I was in the worked for the military and the NSA. I can't tell you what I did, but I got to tour many of the historic museums down there, and they had an exhibit about anime and how it was a direct descendant of the effects of like Hiroshima and stuff like that.
Yes,
and the exhibit included like the Japanese internment camps and basically. What they described with how anime kind of started, and like especially if you look at something like Akira or something like I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's not important. A lot of that culture was kind of reset. They kind of reset culture because it was like the end of days for them. Like they saw Judgment Day, they saw the end of the line, and it came through such a visionary time. That's where some of the anime is the Neo Japan, like the newer futuristic, based in a very dark world, because that's where a lot of those themes and ideas came from. Because that was real in their culture. Their culture ended and they rebuilt it. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the anime sprung from that of the world too.
Right? Yeah, and it's funny though because and you can Dakota if you want to jump in on this too. It's funny how America kind of influenced anime because they got like, Disney cartoons and Looney Tunes, Warner Brothers, stuff like that. And now we're even getting into a time where now anime is influencing American cartoons. What do you think, Dakota?
Yeah, no, that's an extremely exciting topic. I recently, and recently I mean past year or so, I just binge watched Avatar: The Last Airbender and
yes,
The Legend of Korra, and I think that has probably got to be my favorite American cartoon.
Right.
Avatar particularly.
Yes.
Just the level of creativity, and you could tell that it was all anime based and influenced, and that's super cool.
Right. I agree. I am a huge fan of the Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I also loved Legend of Korra.
Now they're American shows, correct?
Yes, they are American-made shows that were influenced by.
It's not a direct taking of or copy of, or it's not a direct translation of anything that's over in Eastern culture.
Right.
It's purely Western culture.
purely
Puri?
whatever.
Puri.
Pure.
We like to make up words on this
That's okay.
podcast.
But yeah, I mean, it was made in here in America, and then it just had a lot of anime influences. You can see it in the expressions the characters make. You can see it in they even did like chibi, I believe. Yeah, they did a whole like shorts with like chibi versions of the Avatar characters, right, Dakota?
They did. I'm not
Yes.
a huge Chibi fan, but
Oh, okay.
I loved everything that they did with Avatar. I can't stress that enough.
Oh yeah, it's such a. I know that one of the biggest influences, and I'm really hoping in the future to do an entire podcast dedicated to this is Miyazaki.
Let's warm you up for that right now.
Right.
I have not seen a single episode of either one.
Okay.
Okay.
right.
It hasn't. It's been on my radar. It's one of those things that everyone around me talks about.
Right.
Like, I'm not a Pokemon fan. We've
Right.
talked about this before.
Right,
I'm not
right.
a Doctor Who fan. Dakota, we've talked about this before. There's a
Which is
lot
sad.
of.
It's very sad.
I know. Another one. Like, I surround myself with Doctor Who fans. I will not see it. Same thing with Pokemon. I'm not into it. So let's talk Avatar real fast.
Okay.
And Korra. Now, the only thing I know about Avatar is two things. I don't even think the one's Avatar. Number one, the live action movie has nothing to do with the series, and don't see it. I got that one.
It has something to do with the series, but it's very
Very
the
vague.
absolute poorest.
It's a clip show with no story.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Number two is I know there's a guy with cabbages,
Yes.
and
Cabbage
that's it. And the only reason I know that is someone cosplayed as it at TampaCon, amazingly, where he pushed a cart around all day, and I
With
appreciate
cabbages?
yes, with cabbages, and I appreciate the dedication of pushing farm equipment around a con for 8 hours. You just gotta you could go as anything. I'd be like, okay, I give that guy credit. What's that from? Like, I'm gonna ask the question.
Let's put some context to this.
Sure.
This scene really quickly. The cabbage. I forget the guy's name, but let's refer to him as the Cabbage Man.
Cabbage Man.
He was someone who was repeatedly, I wouldn't say thwarted, but he was trying to sell his cabbages, and he would always get into someone would always knock his stand over or whatever.
Okay.
You know how in like car chases in movies, there's always fruit stands and stuff like that.
He's the one that always gets knocked over.
He's
Now,
the
is it every
fruit stand.
episode this happens?
No. It's not
Okay.
every episode.
Is that like?
Maybe once or twice?
It's a running gag
He
throughout the
also-
entire series.
I got you. And now, is that Avatar or is that Korra?
Both.
Both. He actually appears as an older gentleman in Legend of Korra, which takes place sometime afterward.
Yes.
Oh, really? I thought those happened like
And
simultaneously.
No.
his business has boomed since then, which is funny.
Oh, good.
So,
Good for him.
Yeah.
Cabbage Corp.
Cabbage
But as
And the NASDAQ today, cabbages has gone up 4 points.
no cabbages. But what I was going to say is like the biggest influence on Avatar, and I'm hoping to do a podcast on this subject, is Miyazaki films. Were a huge influence on Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you've never seen any Miyazaki film, please see it. It's not only, I don't even really consider it technically anime.
They're good films.
They are very good films, and they're drawn very well.
Quick off the top of your head, best if you recommended one to somebody.
Oh, Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind, the first one they ever did.
Is your absolute favorite?
As my
Now
absolute favorite.
you are, and I'm going to segue. If anyone who's listening to this first time listeners
Right.
To our podcast, thank you, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
You are a huge Disney enthusiast.
Yes,
you're
I
a
am.
huge cartoon enthusiast.
Yes, I am.
So I know there's some kind of deal with Buena Vista bringing them over to the States and doing
Yes.
voice acting and
Yes.
everything like that. So you're saying the first one, the Ground Zero,
Yeah.
1.0,
Right.
that is the one that everyone should say.
Yes.
Comparable to Disney films.
Right.
Above and Beyond, on same par, same class, different kind of film.
It's a kind of it's a different
Okay.
kind of film. I agree. It's a different kind of film. It's not anything like
So you don't view it as almost like an animation story.
Right.
It's a movie story.
Right.
That happens to be animation.
right. Yes.
Okay. I
And
dig it.
I really love all the Miyazaki films. Like it seems like everyone gets better and better and better and better.
Now he is heavily influenced from WW2. A lot of
yes.
his stories and everything like that, especially
Absolutely.
Spirited Away is the one that comes to mind.
Right.
Especially the opening of it where it's the child's been separated from the family and
Right.
is surrounded by spirits and stuff like that. That one always stuck with me because I always thought how sad the opening was to that and how
Right.
like devastating it is. Because it gets cute and I see people reference it and stuff like that. I'm
Right.
like, now I'm going to challenge you guys right now. You didn't say the one I thought.
Okay.
Before you, I'm hoping this is the one Dakota you're say. We're gonna mention My Neighbor Totoro.
Yes.
What's the deal?
Have you seen it? Have you seen it?
I have not. Now everyone recommends it to me. They
It's
say you
really
have to
good.
see it.
I would say it's a film very much on par with Bambi. Have you seen Bambi?
I've seen Bambi.
Okay. It's very
I'm
much
an American child.
Yes,
and
yes. It's a film I feel very much in tone with Bambi.
Okay.
Where there are sad things that happen, but it's very lighthearted. It's a kind of a movie really for all ages, which is different from most of a lot of the other Miyazaki films are more older, younger and older adults, and kids could watch it too. But
they're not going to get all the themes and tones.
Yeah,
almost
they
like
probably
almost
won't
like
get it,
a Lion King or like you said Bambi.
But with Totoro, it's kind of more for anybody can just sit down and watch it and kind of enjoy it. What do you think, Dakota?
What's your favorite Miyazaki? Miyazaki. Sorry, film.
Well, Hayao Miyazaki, I love most of his films. I think the first one I was introduced to was Spirited Away. I took that. I watched that in a film class,
Oh wow!
and
That's why I saw it, too.
loved it. I was freaked out by it the same way I'm freaked out by Alice in Wonderland,
Yeah.
like that. So it's not my favorite, but I can see how amazing that film really is. My Neighbor Totoro, on the other hand, that's more of a kid film. I would agree with the Bambi comparison.
That's-
I'm actually looking at my wife's backpack, which is Totoro himself, which is pretty funny. We used that the other day when we went to BookCon and we filled that up, so that was nice. But my favorite Miyazaki film, I think Princess Mononoke.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That's on sale on Amazon right now. Actually,
Would you stop? Don't plug for them. They don't need our money.
Sorry,
They don't need our promotion.
I didn't mean to plug.
Amazon's doing fine.
I just thought it was an anecdote that I was going to add to make it interesting, Dave.
I'll promote it.
I will say though, out of all the Miyazaki films, Princess Mononoke is definitely more for the older adults.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, more
It's definitely
recently-
more violent than all the other ones.
Oh yeah. That's true. It's just true. I think.
That's a tough call.
well-
a tough call.
Well,
What do you love about what makes that one
Princess
more appealing than that one?
Mononoke, that has the strongest, I guess, cultural meaning behind
Yes,
it.
definitely.
It's totally about what we're doing to the environment, what we're doing to Gaia or Mother Earth, and how that's being affected in the realm of this story. And it takes a totally personal twist near the end, and I love it.
Yeah. I wanted to throw in something kind of interesting. You know how I was introduced to Miyazaki films?
How, Josh?
Thanks. Thank you, Dave.
I'm here for you, buddy.
I was introduced to it through Toonami. I don't know if you remember this, Dakota.
No, I don't.
But probably around 2005-ish.
Sure.
Toonami did a whole month of Miyazaki films. Every Saturday night, they
I do remember that.
They played Miyazaki films. The first one I saw was Spirited Away, which funny thing was I watched it. I thought it was a great movie. I just didn't understand anything about the movie. I was like, it was like the first time I saw Mission Impossible. I was like, this is a great movie. What is it about?
It's funny. A lot of the talking going from east to west or west to east. A lot of the Eastern films, I was a big fan, and I didn't bring this up before. I'm a big fan of the anime Kashurn.
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 No.
He kills androids. It's almost like a Blade Runner story, just on a weirder scale. And they made a live action of it. And they show him get his powers, and he doesn't fight androids. He fights like these mutant things. And the film's absolutely gorgeous. I saw the import of it. It's really intriguing and really awesome to watch. I can't tell you a thing that it's about, though. So it's amazing how that culture, knowing that we're very the explosions, car chase, Michael Bay era films over here in
Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, the Western kind of culture. Eastern culture can give you something that's really intriguing and really beautiful, and you can watch it and at the end of it be like, I have no idea what that was about. I felt that way when I saw Akira because everyone made such a big deal about that, and it ended. I'm like, I didn't learn a thing.
That's funny about storytelling in general when it comes to different cultures. I just read a book the other day. I don't want to derail us too far, but
No, go for it.
Go, man.
Yeah, Grace of Kings. It's a fantasy novel, but it takes a more ancient Chinese approach where they tell the story like an ancient Chinese legend or story.
Cool.
And I totally didn't get it coming from a Western perspective, but a lot of people really loved it. And I think that's got to be taken into some context when you're thinking of anime and some of the films that we see. Stories are told differently in different cultures.
Right. But they also take from other things as well.
Right.
Like, for instance, Trigun, which is my favorite anime of all time, takes very much from Westerns.
Really? I didn't get that.
Specifically, like spaghetti Westerns, like, you know. He's making fun of me.
Josh thought I was being serious.
Specifically from, like, spaghetti Westerns, like Good, Bad, and the Ugly. And
they always have that neo-modernism into it, where it's very much a Western.
Right.
And it's very much almost like the gold mining or settling the West.
Right.
But they have cars, and they have fancy guns, and they have robotics, and
Yes.
they have a ton of different things. That is very that modern culture. And I think the Japanese culture has always been more embracing of technology and the dangers of it and the advantages of it at the same time, especially like a movie like Ghost in the Shell or Armitage the Third. Very much play on those references. And I know they're mid-'90s, late 90s
Right.
kind of cartoons, but I kind of get that. I think also the one that comes to mind is Appleseed. Everyone's seen that?
Appleseed. I've seen one of the movies, yeah.
Yeah, which is that weird cel-shaded 3D animation. And they kind of play on that, you know, the effects of modernism. And I think they're very much, I think that culture has been more aware of the culture, the footprint of man with technology and nature.
Right.
Is that fair to say?
They try to teach, like, blending the two instead of, you know, one taking over the other. You want to kind of have a balance between the two.
Yeah.
You know, I'm watching an anime called Salty Ray, which is kind of an interesting thing because it's very much. I don't know if have you seen this, Dakota?
I haven't.
Salty Ray.
Okay.
Go ahead, pitch it to us, Joe.
Basically, it's about this guy who's kind of like a bounty hunter.
Is his name Ray?
No, his name's not Ray.
Oh.
And basically, he's trying to look for his daughter who had been who he thought had been killed in this big explosion that had happened. So he goes around and he hunts these bad guys and tries to find his daughter. On the way, he finds this girl who basically later on you find out that she's basically an android.
Spoilers.
Yeah, well.
I don't have my Rickroll music.
If you didn't figure that out with like the first 3 or 4 minutes of the show, then yeah. But it's
Watching it wrong.
But yeah.
You're watching it.
But I will have to say, the world is very Avatar. Kind of reminds me of Legend of Korra, where it's kind of that mix of like 1920s, 30s technology. So they have
almost like a steam era,
right? They have like record players and you know, Cadillacs and stuff like that.
It's almost like a BioShock kind of universe.
But they also have like everyone has these things called Resemble, which is basically like limb replacements. So, but robotics.
Yeah.
So, and then you have you know, this other whole layer of it that you have the residents of this government basically, and then you have the not registered, citizens of the below city where they're poor and they can't really.
Let me spin something at you real fast.
Cool.
And Dakota, you can jump into because you're very cultured in said things. The Japanese culture in a whole, and I'll say it through animation, they do a lot more adult animation than probably they do kids. Well, at least what we get over here in the Western. The themes that they deal with in a lot of the animes and cartoons and movies even, obviously borderline, I won't say preachy, but they always have a message. And it always seems like they're heroes. If you look at early Disney cartoons, there's no consequences for people's actions. It always bothers me with shows and even, I would say, British culture, like a James Bond character from literature. James Bond, you can watch a James Bond movie, he can kill hundreds of people, and there's no consequences in that. Oh, I always say Marvel. Marvel always says that. The Japanese have always been kind of more consequential in their actions. Am I fair to say that?
Yeah.
Where their characters grow through their actions, and they have to live with the consequences one way or the other. I guess I kind of see that. Is that something that's spun? Like I'm not huge. I haven't watched hundreds of animes. Here's my confession. And the ones I've seen have been very embraced in. I remember I had a roommate and she watched Berserk. Is that the name of it? It was a very brutal, barbaric. No, I'm by myself on this one.
I think I've heard of
You've
the
heard
title.
Of it?
I've not.
It was extremely brutal. It's based on medieval and fantasy and stuff like that. But they dealt with situations of murder and rape and incest and very Games of Thrones type things. And I feel as though there is not an animation studio in the United States, in the Western Hemisphere, that would even come close to touching that without it being something like the American humor will touch on stuff like that. We have our South Parks, we have Simpsons, Family Guy, stuff like that.
But that's one of the things that anime does so well. I think it's just taken in a totally different context, and they have a total different respect for animation out in Japan in the West than we do East. And than we do here.
It always blows my mind. We talked a little bit about this we talked very little on this in the first podcast. I said I think the Japanese basically see animation the way I think it should be seen, is just another way to tell a story.
Yeah.
Exactly.
As opposed to just for kids. And I guess Disney is partly to blame for the fact that animation is just for kids in America.
Let me give you Josh's information. Josh, no, I'm just kidding, man. I know you're. I know that doesn't hurt you to say that.
No, it doesn't hurt me
because
to say that.
You're a Disney fan.
Right, I'm a Disney fan.
It's the American culture, but
everything comes with a double-edged sword, and Disney doing a lot of family-friendly stuff
and being one of the innovators, obviously.
Right.
1920. Give me my Steamboat Willie.
Yes, 1928 was the first one. But going on to that, even anime itself, even that mindset that, it's just another way to tell a story is a double-edged sword as well. Because, like I said in part one, is that a lot of times if you give people the ability to do anything, they're going to do anything, So it's kind of it's kind of good in a sense. I really like that they can talk about subjects that we wouldn't talk about here in the West.
Does the Japanese culture have the? You guys might be able to answer this. I hope so. Have the censorship standards that American television does? Or are they like the European and the South American, where you can kind of put more adult things on at certain times?
To be honest, I'm not entirely sure, because a lot of the shows that are aimed towards kids often feature more promiscuous characters or more violent turn of events.
Because I know that like Dragon Ball Z, when it premiered in Japan, was a primetime show. It included language and nudity of some sort.
Well, I did some research, and that's because the Japanese culture doesn't see nudity the same way we do. They just think
No
it's just
culture
another-
does.
Well, yeah.
America, we are so in the dark ages over here in the United States, and that's a totally different podcast for a different
It is,
time.
but
talking about how censorship in this country has just kind of muted all, or
Right.
like
Well, to give an example, the best example I can think of, and you're going to like roll your eyes when you hear this, is Pokemon, actually, because there's an episode.
which anime?
Pokemon.
Oh, okay. I've
Yeah.
never heard of it.
There was a few episodes that were censored here in America, and one of them was because in the video game you go to this place called the Safari Zone where you can catch different Pokemon. There was an episode that was based in the Safari Zone, but the warden of the Safari Zone was basically toted guns all around and actually pointed one at Ash. And the minute that episode came to America and to dub it, the producers of the American version were like, no.
Now
No.
who was charged to dub those? Was it Warner Brothers?
It was a company called 4Kids Entertainment. Later on, the Pokemon company itself now dubs its own anime, and I think, and correct me if I'm
They
wrong.
all sound
Dakota,
like Mario and Bowser.
it's partly also helped by Viz Media, I believe.
Oh, you're on that one. You're on. No idea. That's all you.
Okay, well,
Sure. Now it is.
Believe you.
Now it is.
I know that Viz Media does the manga, produce puts out the manga, but yeah, the Pokemon company actually does the dubs, which is why the voice acting has changed since then.
So you're saying that even a show like Pokemon, when it comes over
Which
to the
is
States
totally-
here,
yeah.
needs to be censored somehow because obviously how the American viewers will see an action as
Right.
a man pointing a gun at a child
right,
is bad.
right. Well, there's
Unless
other-
it's like a Tarantino film
There-
or a primetime cable drama with.
Well, let me ask you, Dave.
Go
Have
ahead.
you ever watched the original Dragon Ball series?
not Z. Is that what you're asking?
Not Z, just Dragon Ball.
No, I have not.
Okay. Well, the very first episode shows Goku as a kid. He's probably 10 or 11 or so, and he meets up with Bulma, who eventually marries Vegeta in Dragon Ball Z. There's a scene that was cut out from the American release where he ends up falling asleep in the same bed as Bulma and realizes that Bulma does not have testicles. This was totally okay in Japan, but not for us,
Obviously not in the States.
obviously.
Obviously. And what year was that original series?
That must have been like 81 or 82.
That series is that old?
early 80s, yeah.
Really? When did it first come over to the States? Mid 90s? Late 90s? Or
early 90s. I would say probably about 92, 93, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Probably.
Dakota.
Yeah, I don't know exactly, but
Okay.
that sounds about right.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. So,
sorry.
No, that's fine.
Mike,
Oh,
quick.
I'm going back to Studio Ghibli.
Sure.
When we were talking about Princess Mononoke being the most adult themed movie that they have released, or Hayao Miyazaki film, I'm not entirely sure I would agree with that. Just as an American viewpoint, I think although there is some violence in Princess Mononoke that you won't see in other Studio Ghibli films, there are other films whose content or whose themes more mirror the content of adult films, or I wouldn't say adult, but more mature films
Yeah.
that we would see from American audiences, like The Wind Rises was Miyazaki's most recent film, I believe.
Yes.
And that's based on World War II.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That had a big controversy when it was released, if I remember correctly.
I don't remember.
I don't remember the controversy particularly, but I know that film. If I were a kid, I wouldn't be able to sit through that. It felt like a movie. It didn't feel like a cartoon.
Right.
Which they do in a few of their movies, especially. I don't know if this was a Miyazaki film particularly, but it was Studio Ghibli. They did Grave of the Fireflies.
Yes, I've heard of it. I've never actually seen it.
It's a World War II film or it's a film based on the events of a World War II child.
Yes.
Or a child that was involved in that era, and he was trying to save his younger sister.
Okay.
And there are extremely, extremely graphic scenes, not of anything that we would immediately consider censoring or anything like that, but some of the events that happened in that movie would never be shown on a Cartoon Network. Basically, the youngest daughter was starving, and she decided she was going to eat rocks to survive, and that ended up killing her. And this is based on a true story.
Oh wow!
And it tore me apart when I saw the movie.
Yeah.
So that's one of the strengths that anime is capable of achieving is telling a story that you would think of watching your typical American movie.
All right.
And I think that they're capable of telling these stories and people respecting them as movies as opposed to cartoons as we would see them.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. I totally agree, man. Totally agree.
Do you think so before we're gonna to wrap it up here in just a second. So before we do, I want to remind everyone of the question of the episode. Technically, since this is the second part of the episode, I'm just going to keep it the same. And so that way it's a little bit easier, especially if you guys want to reply to us. Basically the question is this. What is your favorite anime character and why? Okay? So we want to know what your favorite anime character is and why. Dakota, do you have a favorite one?
Ooh, springing this on me.
I'm sorry.
I guess I would love to say Mikasa from Attack on Titan.
Okay. Why
She's
is that?
the older sister. I don't know if you've seen the show.
I have not. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I highly recommend it. Especially
What? You're the
to-
connoisseur. How have you not seen it?
Ah.
Yeah, I highly recommend this to any American listeners out there. It is probably in today's medium the closest equivalent to American television on anime produced in Japan, and
Okay.
I will stand by that any day of the week. Mikasa is the adopted older sister of the protagonist Eren Yeager, and is an all-around I wouldn't say know-it-all, but she is the bad girl of the series. She knows exactly what she needs to do to defeat said Titans, which are these giant hulking monsters that have attacked humanity.
Right.
And yeah, she gets the job done.
Ah, very cool. Yeah, because in our first podcast, I said Vash the Stampede was my favorite anime character, and I think not only because of how he's specifically played in America, the voice actor who played Vash was Johnny Young Bosch, who was one of my favorite voice actors. I think he does a really good job, but I think he also is. I also see a lot of myself in him. So that's why he's one of my favorite anime characters. What about you, Dave?
What about me? That's a tough one. I can't really say there's a character by their actions or by even the anime that they appear in that. I'm gonna steal your mic. We're having mic issues.
Okay.
We're
having mishues.
I would say, as a character design standpoint, I'd tell you the two that are the most intriguing to me. And the one really stands out because this is like one of my dream cosplays is Ken the Eagle from Gotcha Force.
Oh, wow.
Battle of the
Okay.
Planets. I love the way they look. I'm obviously a very big superhero fan. So I've always liked and really intrigued with the look of those characters. Admittedly, I've seen very, very little of the series. From a character standpoint, there's a character called Beyond the Grave that came from Gungrave. He is a reanimated, almost like Hitman type. He fights with his own coffins full of guns and stuff like that. Actually, Sega based 2 video games based on it. And I really like that character because he didn't say much, but he didn't have to, kind of thing. It was almost like a Frank Castle kind of character, which I thought was really, really intriguing. I think they did some really cool things with that character, too.
Awesome. Well, before we end the show here, I would first like to go ahead and just thank you guys for listening. You guys are doing great. I know this podcast was something that was a long time coming, and I know I got a lot of feedback and a lot of really great likes out there, and a lot of people are liking it. And I didn't even realize – I realized that a lot of people out there love anime, but I didn't realize how awesome this is. So thank you very much if you're listening to this, and thank you, Dakota, for joining us, man. That dude – thank you so much, man. And I definitely want to have you on again if you want to come back and join us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah,
and it's been a pleasure.
And Dave, as always, thank you for being here. And
as always, it's your pleasure.
Yeah. Before we go, I always like to give you guys a chance to plug stuff. So, Dakota, you want to plug anything real quick?
Yeah, you can find me regularly on my blog, Geek Critique. I'll spell that out for you.
Wait. Go ahead.
No, I will. I'll do it correctly.
We've done this before. Okay.
And I spell it wrong every time. I got it this time. I'm looking at it.
Here we go.
GeekRiqued.wordpress.com.
Yay!
There we go.
Oh my goodness, you could be on ESPN.
You mean Espen?
Espen. Yeah, that channel that other people watch and I don't. Okay, Dave.
All right, so here's the rundown. If you're listening to this podcast, you hopefully are on your way to MetroCon, standing in line for MetroCon, or you're enjoying the activities, therefore, after MetroCon. We're going to be out there for the weekend, myself, interviewing fans, cosplayers. We have a ton of content coming to ZowieKapowie.com about the con, about Japanese culture. Check out my interviews. I'm talking to people who are running panels at the con, photographers, voiceover actors, a ton of cosplayers, artists, stuff like that. Hit us up if you're a fan and you want to be interviewed. If you inspire or aspire, you aspire to be. You want to be promoted as an artist or a cosplayer, come find me or message us here on ZowieKapowie.com. You can find us easily on Facebook. I'm at Podcast Pasco or at podcast_Pasco on Twitter. Just let us know. We'll find you, and hopefully we can have you on the air and talk about why you love what you do so much.
All right, and before we go, so there will be a supplemental episode, probably will be up before this one. The wonderful Sayaku-kan, who did the intro for this podcast and all the other anime podcasts in Japanese. I did interview her real quick, so there's going to be a bonus supplemental episode. Check that out. It's only going to be on the websites. So check those out. Hopefully you guys have already heard it by now. And also, don't forget to check out my monthly webcomic, Tales from the Game Grid. Hopefully you guys still enjoy those. I'll be putting up another one here soon. So, yeah. So, Dakota, if you want to go ahead and say goodbye.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening.
And Dave?
Yeah, bye. You're here for me soon.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Yes, so thank you, UberNerd527. If you enjoyed this jolly banter and just willy-nilly things that just happened, then please go to iTunes and give us a review. 5 stars or more would be wonderful. Whatever or however you do that, I am sure you can. Anyways, if you like this silliness, then please go to the Arcade Archives website, arcadearchives.wordpress.com, and see all the jolly, wonderful, crazy people that are on there as well. You can also follow us at facebook.com/Tales from the Game Grid. or follow us on Twitter at TalesFTGameGrid. Thank you so ever so much for joining us here on the Cartoon Connoisseur Theater podcast. And now I am going to eat a large meal. Good night.
Thank you for joining us for this Arcade Archives Network video. If you like this, please make sure to subscribe to this channel and leave comments below. If you would like more, please go to thearcadearchives.com or zowie.kerpowie.com. Thank you so much once again for joining us for this Arcade Archives Network video, and don't forget to keep playing like it's 1981.
Message from headquarters. This is a Rebellion production and is part of the Arcade Archives Network. That is all.